All right, there we go. It wasn't letting me share it for a little minute. So, thank you for coming to our meeting. We are going to be talking about the grade three accelerated math plan that we have for our upcoming third grade. So, everyone in here is the parent of a second grader. Your child was selected to be part of this new program based on their academics and also on their ability to work independently. So, this is a really big accomplishment, and you should be very proud of your kids. So, let's get into it. I knew as soon as I started, someone would be coming in the room. So, why acceleration? Why are we going through with this? Well, there are some of the college career paths in middle and high school that actually require students to be taking algebra, which is a high level high school course, or even geometry before they even get into high school. So we've been getting a lot of feedback from families that we have kids that want to be doing this by eighth grade. They've already got this in their minds of it. They want to be in advanced courses. They want to be doing maybe even college coursework by the time they're in high school. So we know that there's a want, but also we know that there are some kids that need that extra push. They need something that's going to challenge them and push them. So what we're doing is that this acceleration is great because it's giving us a way to do it without skipping any of the standards. So everything that needs to be covered is going to be covered. And also it's going to reduce the amount of time that students have to spend doing the work outside of school hours. So with some of the pathways, there were lots of time spent during the summer doing online coursework. Also, we're going to make sure that the students aren't going too fast too soon. We all know that cramming in for that big test is not as effective as spending the time going through the coursework. So this is also going to set students on a path to AP Calculus or AP Statistics by the time they get to be a senior in high school. And I know parents talking about senior in high school when they're just finishing up second grade. I get it. But this will kind of put them also on that path to help them and help them also be competitive as they're moving forward, applying to colleges. So this is what we kind of thought about. This is our traditional way it went before. Fourth grade was fourth grade. Fifth grade was fifth grade. You did the work that was in fourth grade, and you did the work that was in fifth grade. Your fifth grade teacher would then say, hey, you know what, they're really good at math, or, I think they've got something here. I'm going to recommend them for advanced coursework in sixth grade. So what that would mean is that they would take all of their sixth grade standards in about half the year, and then they would do a third of the seventh grade standards. They would then go to seventh grade, do the rest of seventh grade, the 2/3 of it, do all of the eighth grade, take the eighth grade FSA, completely skipping the seventh grade. And then by the time they get to eighth grade, they're taking high school Algebra 1 honors, which means they would take the Algebra 1 end of course exam. They would get high school credits and would also affect their high school GPA. Now, for some students, they wanted to go even further than that. They didn't want to do algebra. They wanted to get all the way into geometry. So this was fourth grade was fourth grade, fifth grade was fifth grade, nothing extra. Sixth grade comes along. We put them into an advanced. It's kind of the same thing with the algebra pathway. They do all of sixth grade. They do a third of the seventh grade. They get to seventh grade, finish out that last 2/3, do all of eighth grade. They'll take the eighth grade FSA. Actually, they would during the summer. So after sixth grade, they would again do summer coursework where they would then do that last half of seventh, well, the last 2/3 of seventh, do all of the eighth, then go into seventh already doing algebra. But that also means they're doing a year and more during the summer. but this would mean that they would have to complete 3 grade levels and their standards during their 6th grade year and the summer between 6th and 7th. So what we saw and a lot of feedback was that that was a lot for kids to do and to handle, and also for parents to help support. So another pathway they were talking about was doing the 4th grade standards in 4th grade, doing the 5th grade standards in 5th grade, between 5th grade and 6th grade, taking a summer virtual course where you do all of 6th grade during the summer and a third of 7th grade during the summer. When you go into 6th grade, you do 2/3 of 7th grade, all of 8th grade. And then when you get to 7th grade, you're doing algebra. And when you're to get to 8th grade, you're doing geometry. And again, it's kind of the same with our last one. That's putting a whole lot on students to do that much during the summer and also that much during the year. It's a pretty breakneck pace. So what we're thinking, and this is our new accelerated model. So with our new accelerated model, we really wanted to spread it out so that students wouldn't have to complete anything during the summer. And it also allows us to spread it out across more years so it's not so compacted. And again, there's that less of that cramming feeling where you're like, I got to do a year and 2/3, and I got to do it during the summer. So this is kind of what we're thinking. And this is our model that we're going to be following. So next year, so for 2nd grader going up, they're going to do all of the 3rd grade work. So they're going to get through all of the 3rd grade modules. They're then going to do half of the 4th grade modules. They'll still take the 3rd grade FSA for math. They go to 4th grade. Once they go to 4th grade, they're going to finish out that last half of 4th grade, and then they're going to do all of the 5th grade work. Now, what that means is they will not take a 4th-grade FSA, they will take a 5th-grade FSA. Whatever you do the most coursework in, that's the FSA you take. So when they get to 5th grade, they're going to take all of the 6th-grade standards, and then they're also going to do a third of the 7th-grade standards. And they'll actually, in 5th grade, they'll take the 6th-grade FSA. When they get to 6th grade, they'll take the remaining parts of the 7th grade, and then they'll take all of the 8th grade, and they'll take the 8th grade FSA as a 6th grader. In 7th grade, they'll take algebra as honors, and it's a high school credit. And then in 8th grade, they'll be taking geometry. So many of the college and career pathways, they're going to require students to engage in that high school mathematics coursework during the 7th and 8th grade year. So this is intentionally designed to allow students to.
Mr. Garrett.
Keep it quiet.
Okay, so.
That's me. Yep.
Sorry.
They would allow to progress through the mathematical Florida standards at that accelerated pace without skipping anything. So when we get to the high school coursework, for the Algebra 2 honors, then they would take that district final for it, pre-calculus, advanced placement calculus, and then advanced placement calculus, or they would go advanced placement statistics. So as you can see, this sets up students for a lot of high-level work that would be able to really push students and also help them have more choices as they get further along in their academic career. Now, what I do want to mention, though, is that if you're taking a high school level course, let's say that you go through all this, and as a 7th grader, you start taking the algebra honors, and that's a high school level work. Whatever grade you get is going to affect your final GPA as a senior. So, you know, there are some families who have taken this and they're, oh wow, I didn't know that, you know, just because he got that B in 7th grade, that it was going to affect him when he was a senior. Any work that's done at the high school level is factored into the GPA. So I just need families to know that. So how are we going to fit it all in? What would that actually look like? So we kind of talked about it a little bit. And what this is kind of a look at what the third grade would look like. So with our third grade, you're going to have students doing 7 modules. Okay, so that's all of third grade. That's 7 modules. And then they're going to do half of the fourth grade work, which will be 3 more modules. So once they're going on to fourth, if they're continuing with the accelerated model, in fourth grade, they'll take those 4 modules they have left, and then they'll do all of the fifth grade modules, which are 6 modules. So for both years, for third and fourth, it's about 10 modules. And that's the scope and sequence are designed to make sure that we're not skipping any of the standards. We are not doing every lesson though. Some of the lessons are very similar. And what we've done is that our district has gone through, and we've also gone through and looked through which lessons can be combined into other lessons to make things go a little bit more at an accelerated pace. And I'm sure some of your students may have said before, oh, we did this yesterday. Why are we still on this? And they're ready to move on. This is definitely this is for them. I do want to point out that it's still going to be the Eureka modules. It's still the Eureka books. So everything that they would be getting in third, fourth, and fifth is still going to be the same material, and it's going to be the same tests that they would be taking. This is not a different curriculum. It's just structured in a little bit different of a way. The difference is going to be the pacing and how fast we're going with it. So I'm going to turn it over to our learning design coach, Kristen.
Hi, everyone. So I know that was a whole bunch of information all at once. And we know that it looks like, oh my gosh, that's a lot for my kid to do. But what it looks like in the actual classroom is we're trying to think through, these are our kids that are being successful in our math lessons every day. They're ready to move on before a majority of their class. And this program allows them to kind of keep their pace with things. So they'll still come to school and be in their regular classroom with their peers. That's not changing. And then during their math block, they will get a computer and they will go to their assigned spot in the room, what's ever comfortable with them and their teacher that they've worked out. And they'll get to go through a Canvas course that has like a video of a teacher teaching a lesson. And they kind of work through the same process that they've been normally working through. It's just at their pace now. So if they need to hear that again, they can press pause and rewind, and they can hear it again. And it's kind of their ownership of their learning. The teacher will still be in the classroom and available to answer any questions. It's not that they're completely left to their own free will interventions. So like the teacher's still looking at data. They're still seeing how are your child being successful, what's an area that they might need a little bit more work on that day. And their teacher will take them, pull them in a group, work on that, give them an additional practice. If they don't finish that day's lesson, because it might be 2 lessons combined, there's still time in their day to get that done. It doesn't mean like, oh, you had an hour, you didn't finish it, you have it for homework. That's not the case. Like we're still allowing time in the classroom for them to be successful. So in the Canvas course is where the videos, the modules, the learning goal, all of their learning will happen. And their testing platform would be the same, just as if they were in the regular classroom having their math instruction. This allows them to go back and review anything they need to. They can get their problem sets done. They'll still have their math book to write things out. It's not just a completely digital piece, but this is where it will be housed so that the kids have one central place to go every day and they have a routine, which we know it helps kids to be successful. We'll go to the next slide. Thank you.
So
go ahead.
When you're looking at the responsibilities of the student, they're looking for independently completing those assessments and also keeping up with the pacing. But it's also about them taking notes during the video and really kind of being those self-starters, making sure that, if they're not understanding something, reaching out to the teacher, because the teacher's not going to be right there doing the lesson because they're going to be with the computer.
So this is a combined responsibility between not only the teachers, but the students. And it's that working relationship that they are taking some ownership as a student of their learning, but the teacher will also be keeping track of their daily work, just as if they were turning in a piece of paper. Their teacher will still be looking at their scores. When we say must score an 80% or above on a test, that's not to say if we have one bad test that it's just we're done. If they're scoring below the 80s, then that's where we're going to have to really dig in and see if we need to evaluate their interventions. Are they just not getting it? Is the pacing too much? And things like that. And that kind of leads us into the next part. So once your child, and if you decide to enter your child into the program, there are off-ramps. They're very, we're monitoring them. I, as the math coach, is staying involved in that, the teacher, and we are being very intentional about when they come out of the course. We don't want to just say 3 weeks in, like, oh, no, this isn't working, and throw our hands up and move out of it. We want the kids to have some time to take ownership and be responsible, and also the teacher to provide some interventions so that they can work together to try to make this a successful path for them. If, however, as a team, because the teacher will be communicating with the parent of where their progress is, of interventions, and if there's an off-ramp coming out or coming up in the calendar, then that conversation is a joint conversation that everybody can sit down and just have a conversation of what's the next steps. When we say off-ramp, it just means that they're coming off of the coursework in Canvas and going back to the regular paced assignments and in the classroom with the actual teacher teaching it again, and the lessons happening just as if they were like this year in math class. So we spent a lot of time looking to see, like, because this is an accelerated pace, like when is a good time to recommend coming out so that they aren't having to repeat a lot of lessons back in the normal classroom. It would just be some of the lessons, and that way, if they were struggling, then they have more time to kind of work with the standards and feel successful. And just because they might exit, you might try it this year or halfway through and you're like, this isn't successful, that doesn't mean that any of the pathways that he showed you in the beginning aren't a path that your child could take in the future. It could mean that they tried it in third, it wasn't successful, and we want to try it again in fourth. That's a possibility as well. We don't want them to feel down on themselves or think that it's one and done, but there are different ways to exit the program intentionally, but we want to try to keep them in it and provide the right services to keep them where they need to be. So we know that was a lot of information. Is there any questions that someone might have? You can either write it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask.
If I could get the recording so I can send it to my wife, she's working right now. I know it's a lot of information. I would like to share it with her so she will know what's coming.
Absolutely. And we are recording it, and we also have this as a PowerPoint.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I don't mind setting up a time, like if you want to email me, I can put my email address in the chat if you want to set up a time just to kind of slowly process it, talk through it. And there's a survey I'm going to put in the chat. If you could just take a few minutes to do that and tell us where you're thinking.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's Miss Edwards.
Hi, guys. I was just listening in. I had a quick question for the assistant principal and the coach. When would parents have to let you know if they commit to this? Like, we just had the presentation. It's a lot to take in. They're probably going to have to think through it and make some decisions. But when would they have to make a decision, and what does that look like? Do they communicate with you, or how does that go? Like, what's the timeline, and how would they communicate if this was a pathway they wanted to go with? That makes sense.
Well, ideally, we'd like to know by the end of the year so that we could start looking at when we're making class
Yeah.
lists and whatnot. So if you could let your teacher know if this is something that you're interested in, and then we would know which class we're going to be putting them in for next year, so that they can get the supports to be able to move forward with this.
Another way, if you're thinking like, yes, this is definitely something I want, in this survey monkey that I just put into the chat, if you click on it, it's only three or four questions. But one of the questions is, I would like more time to think about this. You know, you need more information. If you click that box, then Mr. Garrett or I will reach out and set up a time to talk with you. If you're like, I need more time to process it, but just leave me alone for right now, that's okay too. We understand. If you could, like we said, just let us know by the end of the school year, like by letting their teacher know, that would be a good avenue. And it's not to say over the summer you call the school and ask for Mr. Garrett or myself, that we won't be here. We'll both be here all summer. So that is a possibility as well. But yes, the accelerated students are going to be in the same class together. This allows for the teacher to be concentrated in their grouping for interventions and just be really intentional, and to make sure that the teacher can really hone in on those students and make them as successful as they can be.
There was one more question in the chat. If they feel they have another student that would benefit from this, but in another grade, what do we recommend? At this time, we are only doing the third grade advanced coursework. Next year, we will do third grade and fourth grade. And the year after that, we will do third, fourth, and fifth. But if you feel like there's something that you would like further, you can contact me privately, and I'll put my email in the chat. We can work something out.
I just had a question also. This is Jackson Titus's mom.
Hi.
So I just wanted to ask, just to make sure I heard correctly. So next year, then, if they entered this program, they would be taking, did you say the fourth grade F? Because I know third grade would be a retention year. So they would take the third grade FSA or the fourth grade?
So they would take the third grade FSA, but the math portion of the FSA is not a retention piece, only the reading part.
Oh, okay. So that wouldn't make a difference then. Okay.
Yeah, and the way the pacing goes, the third grade material ends before the FSA, but not too much before. So they're not like majority of it, of the fourth grade material starts closer to the end of the school year. There's some of the units, the modules, like one module only has like 4 lessons in it when you like combine a couple of things. So that is very like, those parents that say yes, there's like a calendar we'll have for you, and the teachers that, knowing that the exact day might not be the exact lesson because things happen, and we know that, but it'll be a pretty much like, we're in this module, and then we're close to here. And so the parents will know too when it comes to where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
I love that people are so excited about it. They're already signing up through the chat.
It's a great opportunity for your kiddos to have that enrichment part. And the great thing is like they were saying, that there's off ramps. It's not like you have to commit, and if something's happening and your child's not successful, it is what it is. They have those off ramps to kind of get them off and go back into that third grade math, or wherever it is, like that, with the rest of the grade level. So that's a little bit of like a safety net for the kids, and that should make you feel a bit better too, that it's not, yes, you're committed to it, but also if the child isn't doing well, there's a way to get them back on track and still not miss that core curriculum in third grade.
It's not a forever decision.
Right. And I think that, the kids are, old enough now to really make them part of the decision making, and give them that responsibility and let them know that, this is a very special thing that they've been chosen for. And like, congratulations to you as their parents and to them, because this is a really cool thing that they get chosen for. But they're also going to have to take some responsibility, and it's going to be a new thing for them. So as much as you can get them involved, to not only tell them what it's like, but to get them excited about it, because not every kid is picked for this, and it's a great opportunity for them, and I'm excited for them to do that as well.
Someone did post in the chat if they would have access to the 4th grade Eureka books before the summer. Unfortunately not. Our 4th grade materials and all of our materials are delivered during the summer. So that's when they all come in. Does anyone have any other questions or just concerns or just would like to talk? Ms. Rivera.
If they go on the off ramp, let's just say in the middle of the school year, do they stay with the same teacher or do they get placed on a different classroom?
No, they would stay with the same teacher. We want to keep that as much as consistent as possible. They would just begin working on the work that's the classrooms are working on.
Yeah, that's important for those relationships too, right? Like, they're going to build relationships throughout the year, and we don't want them to feel like they're, they didn't make the cut, so then they're going to be moved out of that room. Yeah, I would.
And another component to this is we really wanted to make these classes as highly successful and meet their needs, because a lot of your students that are in this are also high at reading, and so we didn't want to not think about that, but there's not a particular like accelerated program for reading. So us as a team like really sat down and thought about it, and we made it a decision to where your students will actually have 2 teachers, to where the math, one teacher will be in charge of math, so she can really focus on their needs and accelerating them and enriching them, whether they stay in this program or if they have to off ramp, they'll still be challenged if they need to be. It's not just you got out of this and there's no, extra for you. But then the reading side, the reading teacher can really differentiate and give enrichment opportunities also with on the reading side, just kind of concentrating on one or two, she'll do the science or writing and reading, but we really thought that would be a helpful tool to the teachers and most of all the students to really meet their needs.
And the way that we have them set up in the class, the map next year, is that the 2 teachers will be right across from each other. So there's not traveling or anything that comes along with that switch. But that's something new that we haven't done in 3rd grade. We do a lot of that in 4th and 5th because they're getting ready to like transition into middle school soon. But this will be the first time that we do it in 3rd grade. But we do think it'll be nice to have that like separation, like Kristen was saying, to be able to focus on that one thing. But it's also nice to have 2 teachers that have 2 different sets of expertise, and then they get a little bit of a change throughout the day. And so it's going to be very exciting for them. I think someone said they were sorry to, are you answering them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, those kids, just to recap, these students will stay in the same class together. Now, it might be, depending on numbers, like half of them are in math in the morning and then reading in the afternoon. That might be the split, but just for numbers wise, but the same group will still stay together. Even when if they decide to off ramp, their teacher that they've built a relationship with will still be their teacher.
And so when you have parent conferences, you'll have parent conferences with both teachers, right? Unless it's just specific to math. But if you're looking at your whole child, like as like a regular parent conference, both the reading teacher and the math teacher will be together.
Someone asked, is this all of Pasco County or just Connerton at this time? This is something that is that we are doing. I'm not certain if all other elementary schools are doing this. I think there are a couple that are doing it, but we're definitely going full steam with this and looking to support and encourage and grow all of our learners that are ready for this challenge.
And as a principal, I feel like it's really important to, take all of our learners, especially our high kiddos, and our goal is that that all kids make a year's worth of gains every single year. And sometimes those kids that are higher in academics, they're already high, so we're like, all right, they're doing well, and it's important to give them enrichment and make sure that we're feeding those kids as well. So we knew that when we were talking about this, we really were looking at the data to see like how many kids this would mean, to see if it would be something that would be beneficial for us, because we didn't have enough of those numbers. And it was very exciting to see how many kids we actually had, because we really weren't sure like how many kids would make that criteria. So that tells us as a school that we have to offer your students something to make sure that we're feeding them, that we're enriching them. And so, I feel and the team feels like it's really, really important to have this for them, so that, that they're getting the things they need. And like what Mr. Garrett was saying, this is going to benefit them all the way up now until high school. So this is a win-win, right? Because I know elementary, you're not thinking that long term, but even in elementary, like us as an elementary school, we're already thinking about them going to middle school and high school, because we're creating that pathway. And this is a very, very good opportunity. And like kids that get into like science jobs, like this math is crucial for them. They need to have that math and be on that accelerated path. Any science positions or jobs, like it requires them to have all that math when they graduate high school, and so it gives them a leg up.
And what's great about the way that it's being structured now versus the way that it was being before is that we're really giving them the time to get the material, to understand it, to digest it, instead of it all being on top of them at the same time as they're getting into to middle school. So they really have time to grow as mathematicians.
And finally, what I want to just tell you, because I know you're trying to just, I'm trying to think as a parent, like what kinds of questions I would have, what kind of concerns, and we're really we've really took some time to think all of this through, but also about the teachers that we choose to do this, right? This is a big undertaking for us, and we know that the teacher that we choose for this, as well as the ELA, has to be an expert in their field, right? So we have spent a lot of time like thinking about like what teachers that we have that possess that would be a good fit. And I feel very comfortable, and the team feels very comfortable with the two that we've picked as far as ELA and math. And we will, what I'd like to do is, just like every year, you have, a meet and greet with the teachers. I know we had a virtual one this year because of COVID. And from what I understand, hopefully next year we'll be going back to like some sense of normalcy. But I would like to maybe do something with you guys, like right before we go back, before Meet the Teacher Day, so that you can meet the teachers and maybe get a little bit, because I know this is unique, and I know it's going to be like, by then you'll probably have some more questions. And so I think you guys will probably have maybe some more Zoom meetings throughout the year as a group, because you guys are going to be like a little cohort. And so I know communication is so very important for this to be successful. So, you know, we'll have to tap into you guys a lot here and be like, you know, and especially at the end of the year, like, how can we make this better for the following year? And what kinds of supports do you need? And how could communication be best? So we're going to be tapping into you a lot to say, like, you know, what supports do you need and how can we make it better? But the 2 teachers that we picked are just super fantastic. I think you're going to be very happy. They're very good with communication. They're very strong in their curriculum piece. And so I'm really excited about it. Does anybody else have any questions? I know it's probably hard to wrap their head around, but
No, thank you.
thank you.
We're very excited for this. It's going to be a really wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, I think like you said, I just want to thank you all again for this opportunity. I think like you said, for those students that are, you know, high achievers or maybe a little bit above their other classmates, they need that extra push and motivation. So I think this is great for all of them.
Yeah, I agree too.
And once we go through the survey tonight and get more of an idea, and there were some parents that couldn't come this evening. So once we kind of get through all that and reach out to those other families, and some of you might need more time to process, and that's okay too. But once we get that, we'll send out communication about the teachers and who they are, and at least a little like bio thing to start with. We'll send out this summer as soon as we get some of this finalized.
Thank you guys for taking time out tonight of your busy schedule with your families to meet. We really appreciate it. Please, please, please reach out to us if you have any questions, concerns. We're always here.
Mr. Garrett and I both put our email address in there in the chat.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for explaining it.
Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye, Miss
Bye, Ms.
Prescott.
Prescott.